So let's get straight to it. Okay, USAID was created by JFK. Okay, for those that don't know, yeah, it was created. He consolidated existing foreign aid programs to administer economic and humanitarian assistance globally. Again, JFK was a globalist. He was tied to the crown. Now, the reason I'm saying this, in case people didn't know it, is yeah, he created it. USAID was created November 3rd, 1961 by President JFK through the Foreign Assistance Act of 1961. And I'm bringing this up because, you know, every Saturday Glenn Beck does a podcast. And so this podcast today was with Liz Truss. She is a former prime minister to Britain, okay? And she's all about we need a Trump, we need an American revolution here. And so they're going back and forth. And then I was like, oh, wait, hold up here, girl. Because she says, frankly, a lot of these bad ideas actually came from America in the first place, like transgender ideology, you know, the ionization of Stonewall and the funding of Stonewall, which has been so destructive around the world. Those things came from the United States. Yeah, so this is Britain again, you know, just thinking. And of course, Glenn, instead of Glenn standing up, you know, he wants to make nice. And he's like, oh, no, you're right. No, she's wrong. She is wrong, okay? She may not be deliberately, she just doesn't know. She just doesn't know. And in her memory, it seems like it all came from America. No, it really started, believe it or not, in Germany. Yeah, their first institute ever was there. That shouldn't be much of a surprise given, you know, whatever. But she was what went into all this USAID and the funding was because of the Stonewall riots. These were riots that took place in 1969 in New York's Greenwich Village, where a pivotal movement in LGBTQ plus AF, you know, all the symbols and numbers and letters, triggered by a police raid at the Stonewall Inn, a gay bar. The riots marked a turning point in the fight against police harassment and discrimination targeting LGBTQ plus individuals. Patrons and onlookers resisted arrest and clashed with police, leading to 6 days of protests and demonstrations. Okay, so we saw this with BLM. They did it too. These are majorly backed funded movements. They are designed... they are rarely grassroots, rarely, and LGBTQ was not a grassroots, okay? It was not. It's big money funded, just like BLM was, and it's made to cause division and cause chaos, and to start to rip away at the fabrics of society. That's what it's designed to do. It is not grassroots. But the media, of course, because they're paid by the very same socialists in Britain and Europe, are never going to tell you the truth, just like they won't tell you the truth about JFK, and that will never happen. I just never see it happening. Not the podcasters either. So when she says that some of the bad ideas came from America, it's like, no, it started with you guys. Actually, it started with Europe, and they're a big ally with Europe. So, but just so people understand. And the reason the Stonewall riots matter is because that goes to this funding that was coming from USAID and because of all the corrupt funding. But again, JFK created USAID, and JFK, even though the media will never report on it, was literally doing the bidding for the crown. He was a plant for the Britain, okay? I've already explained this in other videos. People may not want to accept the truth, but that's the truth. But getting back to the truth about, where it all started when it comes to transgenderism, it did start in Germany. But the transgenderism and practices, that goes into religion going way, way back. So it's been around for centuries. But it began... in modern times, Germany played a pivotal role with the establishment of the Institute for Sexual Wissenschaft in Berlin in 1919. led by Magnus Hirschfeld, which pioneers research and medical procedures for transgender individuals. So again, Liz Truss should just get that history correct, okay? Started with your big allies over there in Europe, the people that are controlling speech. Then Sweden came in next, as far as there was a couple of, like the first gender affirming surgeries included vaginoplasty in 1931, which was the Germany Institute. Then Sweden in 1972, that's when the term transgenderism itself was coined, and they were doing it. And then Britain, 1945 to 51, Michael Dillon and Roberta Cowell became the first known individuals in Britain to undergo medical transition. And probably the most important thing is, well, there was more than one institute that Britain created for transgenderism, which was, she should know that. She was a former prime minister. But there was the Beaumont Society, which was founded as a support group for trans individuals in 1966. And of course, their history has the Tavistock Institute that was founded in 1989, which was a clinic established the Gender Identity Development Services. It was closed down. It was closed down in the last few years, finally, because of how unethical it was. But that was the first UK services for young people with gender dysphoria. So Liz Truss is not saying it right. But again, Britain always gets away with this. Somehow we have to blame America. No, take responsibility, okay? And then in 2004, Britain passed the Gender Recognition Act. So granting legal recognition to binary transgender individuals and enabling changes to birth certificates. So she should just really, get that right, because even though it may seem to her like it started because of some riot that was funded by, dark money through USAID, that doesn't mean it started here. You guys were doing it before us. So I'm not trying to, cut hairs here. It's just that to really get on the right track, people, whether they're prime ministers or just anybody, need to, be able to be quite, just be honest about these things, okay? And I think Americans are really getting sick and tired of being blamed for all your problems, okay? You created your own problems, then you bring them to America. JFK was a total plant for the crown, okay? I showed in my video recently, but of course it'd be shadow banned and nobody will want to accept it because everybody's been brainwashed to the fact that no, he was an ally to America. No, he wasn't. If he had truly stood on the side of America, they would not have named 197 schools just in America after Kennedy. Yeah. The most schools that are named after presidents is usually Jefferson and Lincoln. Those are the two biggest. I think Lincoln have 650 schools named after Lincoln. Jefferson is the next one with 350 schools. And then it's JFK. And he served 3 years. I know he was killed, but I'm just saying that's Reagan, who served 8 years, only has 17 to 30, something like that. But see, so my point is that that's how you know JFK wasn't working for America's interests, because he not only has buildings and bridges and schools and universities and art centers and sidewalks and farmers markets, I don't know, take your zoos, named after him here, but he has it worldwide. So that's how you know that he was connected to the crown, because they were anyway. That was where his loyalties were. He was a total plant. And that's the reason why the Bay of Pigs, something that was already set up, people were angry about. Even JFK or RFK Jr. said that today. I saw a quick interview with him saying that, that's likely maybe what got him killed. No, maybe it was because people knew he was serving, the communist agenda. But I don't think that will ever, nobody's going to ever talk about that, because our media does the bidding for Britain and Europe. So, yeah. So even though this won't get seen, and because, we can't possibly let the truth out, let me just get the history straight. Nope, all the bad things that have come our way resulted from here in Europe.